Well, good, everybody. What is good? Mm. How is everyone doing? I hope everyone is doing phenomenal. I hope everyone is having a good day so far. As I say, if you guys have any suggestions for nature and all beautiful things around colorful animals that you wanna know about, then let me know because the animal themes are all gonna be beautiful and colorful animals that we wouldn't necessarily see too much of, but it'll be beautiful to get every animal down that I know you guys would love. But they can't just be any um, colorful animal, they've got to be unique and different. So if there is any beautiful animal species that is colorful, vibrant, all that sort of stuff, then let me know because we will be doing it and everything else. Yo, what's good? We hope you're having a good day so far. Everything else, not much. How are you all doing? I hope everyone is having a good day. I really do. Like I say, themes of the animal kingdom that we are doing today is colorful, beautiful, species of animals that people want to know about. So if there's a particular I want to learn, you come to the right place. So if there's any animal species that you want me to cover for my upcoming video, let me know what species and everything else. Yeah? Because they have if you look at the body shape and structure, it's like a they have no bones, no brains, no nothing. They're just you know basically like a little balloon just blobbing. They have no actual backbone or anything, so it helps them just to float. And these guys, believe it or not, jellyfish have been around way before dinosaurs even entered Earth. Now that is crazy for an animal fact. Yeah, unfortunately, many people get stung by jellyfish, and it's not our fault or their fault. It's where when we're on the seaside and we're walking, they get accidentally stung. You know, because we have the ability to go into their environment. So, of course, when a jellyfish is just blobbing along, oh, it's very normal. It's normal because when us humans, how they're able to use their because they have tiny stinging cells inside each with each tentacle. They have very tiny stinging, barbed wire that just basically, um, with that stinging, with the stinging tentacles, it's basically, most jellyfish have it so they can sting to paralyze the, the prey that they're eating, because jellyfish have been known to eat crabs, shrimp, and other species of, jellyfish, which is kind of cool. So, ideally, exactly, it is. But what is funny is how people think that, you know, jellyfish have bones and that jellyfish have a backbone, eyes, heart, all that sort of stuff. But jellyfish don't have a heart. They don't have brains, and it shows how do not have eyes. But they are very cool individuals. I can tell you that for nothing. Like jellyfish, they don't have a heart. Yeah, they have no heart, no brain, no bones, no eyes. They live up to 1 year. How do you heal it? Well, you can't just go around peeing on everybody, because if you go back to how people believe that, if you put your own urine onto the jellyfish sting, it helps. No. The best thing to do is either go doctor or just go and get a warm bath, not too hot, not too, you know, and let it naturally, and just let it naturally, come down. No, you don't use snot spit. Just use natural stuff like water. Warm water and everything else will do well and good. But if it's something more serious, like a venomous jellyfish, 110% go doctor. And that will save your entire life from everything else. Because again, jellyfish are very cool, creatures in their own right, because we got, even though jellyfish have been around longer than dinosaurs, they've developed such a unique advantage that they thrive in the ocean. So every part of the ocean that we know, like the Pacific Ocean, whatever. They can live in cold water, warm water. They can live in the shorelines, shallow, deep, all sorts. That's where you would most likely find jellyfish. So it does not matter what part you will always find a jellyfish in: deep, cold, warm, shallow, and so on. You know, because they adapt to where they are, and it's really cool how jellyfish adapt to different environments around the world, like any animal. It's like how you know uh, orcas. Again, orcas, they adapt to many different environments. So they get to go to the really cold parts of the world, to the warm parts, to everywhere else. So orcas, can they say talk to each other? That's a good question. I mean, jellyfish can't do that. What kind of jellyfish is that? Well, this jellyfish has a special feature that allows them to basically create their own light. And not only that, because we have nocturnal, we have, nighttime jellyfish, so on and so forth. Every jellyfish from, the deep parts of the ocean to the, this should be found more probably at night. Can they talk to each other? Which are we talking about? Orcas? Are we talking about jellyfish? Can they talk? Well, no. You don't need to apologize. It's all good. It is all good. It's all good. So, are you asking about like orcas, which is killer whales? Because every animal can communicate one way or another. Not sure about jellyfish. Orcas. So orcas have vocals that allow them to automatically communicate. So yes, they are very sociable creatures, and yes, they do form a very neat community that allows them to have their own, vocal communication. And yes, orcas can communicate quite easily and quite fluently. So obviously, it's not, we can't hear them communicate unless we have a device that allows us to hear the vocals from underneath. No worries. And it's like with how people think chameleons, and we love chameleons. Everyone loves a good chameleon, right? Everyone does. It doesn't matter who you are. But believe it or not, chameleons don't actually change color due to just one thing. It's actually due to three things. So when you think about chameleons, the reason why they change color is through is through temperature, mood, and surroundings. Okay, those are the main three reasons why chameleons would ever change color. Nothing else, just those three things. But you can't have two male chameleons coming together because with two male chameleons getting in the same environment, they will end up biting each other, fighting each other, and everything else, and it's not a nice scene. So it's why male chameleons are better separated than they are staying in a group. It just doesn't work, you know? It's called a blowhole for the orcas. On the top of where you just described, where you described the hole, yeah, that is a blowhole. It's just there to basically, blow stuff out, really. There's nothing really too special about it. It's just there. So now you've got something really cool. So yeah, remember, isn't it to make them breathe? Well, yeah, but also to blow things out so they can also, you know. But also, when you think about jaguars, who likes jaguars? We all like big cats, right? Big cats are beautiful, they're vibrant, but also very stunning. But the bite force of a jaguar is about 1,500 per square inch. Jaguars are considered the third largest big cat. So in general, you have tiger, that is the top dog, lion second, jaguar third. Okay, that's how you would identify, you know, who is who. That's scary. It is, but the reason why jaguars have that bite force is because they go for the skull. Pardon me, not so much for the neck. So when you think about big cats, you have lions and tigers that go for the neck. Jaguars, they're good at swimming, they are good at climbing, and their meal pretty much consists of capybara, monkey, caiman, snakes, monkeys, all that sort of stuff. So they're not too phased what they get, but all big cats eat every other day. They would never eat all the time. People think that, big cats have more successful hunts. Just does. Well, lions don't like water, tigers don't mind water. In fact, tigers have partly webbed feet. So when you think about partly webbed feet, that is how they, are able to move into the water. Jaguars have the same. They got partly webbed feet, help them go through stuff. So it is quite cool. But most big cats would try and avoid water if necessary. But jaguars, they don't care. They will happily swim regardless. They don't care. They will swim through and through, you know. And not only that, when you think about patterns, it is so unique on tigers. If you were the shade with tiger's fur, not that I recommend it, the stripes will go straight to the skin because tigers are born with their stripes. How are they able to purr? Vocalization. Because again, all like cheetahs. Because cheetahs aren't classed as a big cat, and there's a big diversity on, big cats as a species. Some people think that cheetahs are big cats, but cheetahs are the only ones that can't roar. They can only purr or they can hiss, but they cannot necessarily do anything else because they are called a lesser cat. What is interesting is when you think about how the behavior of a cheetah is. Cheetahs you can theoretically have as pets. You can. I wouldn't recommend it, but you can, because when you think about tigers, lions, that sort of stuff, they do bark. But what is interesting though, that I was saying about cheetahs, is the reason why they're called lesser cats is because when they have babies, they are not called cubs. They are called kittens. Whereas when you think about lions, tigers, that sort of stuff, they do genuinely, have cubs. And they are part of the Panthera. And Panthera is a Latin name for big cats. Just the same as rhinos. I will save that for... I will save that video. I will make a video on that though. I like the fact that you're very curious about why animals have certain elements. I like that. That's very good. Very good observing. Very good observing behavior pattern there. I will make a video on that somewhere down the line because at the moment we're doing colourful animal features at the moment. But I definitely will make a video on why goats have horns. And I will remember that because that is actually, that is a very, very good, question and a good, thing to do. Why do elephants have tusks like walruses? That's a good question. Again, I like it. And again, I will make back-to-back videos with that in mind. I'm not gonna spoil that because I love all of the, those sort of things where you will have your answers if you subscribe and everything else. So if you love nature and you're curious about nature and you want to learn some cool things about animals as a whole, then yeah, subscribe. Wait, I'll be right back. No worries. Oh, my leg. So yeah, there's lots of interesting animal facts to dive into, to love, to learn. I love that people get curious about animals and the species of animals that we speak about, we educate on, and that we that we give you guys. It's a beautiful thing to learn. And when you're passionate about nature, it's great. I think the thing that really stands out for me is it's not so much the why but the hows and the ifs. and then what makes them do certain things. Well, it's built into them. It's a natural thing for them to do. You know, it's like kangaroos can't hop backwards, but they can hop forwards. Yeah. So it's like anything with us. It's like, why do we walk? Why do we, do certain things? Kangaroos, it's what they've learned through, and they got very flexible legs. Very flexible legs that allows them to just, bounce at such a high rapid pace. No, their kicks are powerful. I can't argue with them. I love it though. But yeah, all in all, you've got animals that true. And if you guys love to know that whole so there is an actual saying. We've all heard the word no jump though. Exactly. There is a saying that we're all familiar with. Welcome back. There is a interesting phrase that we all know, which is crocodile tears. Yeah? We've all heard that phrase. But believe it or not, when a crocodile is actually eating food, right after while it's eating, right after eating it will shed tears. But no one really knows, are they really sad, or are they just, it's one of them. But yeah, we know that crocodiles can actually produce tears of their own, but crocodile tears is what we use to say, oh, they have no remorse. They're not showing that they're actually sorry. But crocs will produce tears, in their own way. But we're not sure if that is remorse. So they are related to dinosaurs. Well, yeah, they are. They've been around for quite some time, and there's evidence to back that theory up, that actually, there was prehistoric dinosaurs that were, alligator, that looked a bit like crocs, Sharks have been around, like the megalodon. Lots of, I'm a dinosaur. When you think about the history of nature and how they evolved and how they, adapted to different environments. Some animals, ironically, didn't survive. Some did, and that is what we call a natural cause, So when we think about jellyfish, because jellyfish have been around for so many, so many years and years, and before dinosaurs and everything else. What the that's bollocks. Wait, I'm confused. Matthew Hunter, what are you on about? But as I say, how how do owls fly quietly? I don't know. That's actually a good question. That is a good question. I would have to look at that. That is a good genetic. That is actually a really good question. Look it up, Matthew. You can actually scientifically be BSing yourself there, lad, because it is an actual word. Go and look at the definition, lad, because the definition of crocodile tears is what we use to say, oh, don't, you're not showing no remorse. Crocodiles have actually done that, and not only that, it has been very much proven, So check yourself before you wreck yourself, lad. I do animals for a living. I work with animals, bro. All the way through and through. I wouldn't bullshit. So you can sit there and say I'm lying, just like how people have said in the past, oh, I was lying about how Bristol Zoo neglected their animals. Nope. Because the actual, like, again, how people, I love good debates, but I don't like people being rude about debates, because again, it shows the narrative mind. But again, proving the fact that crocodiles do have it in them, and not only that, it's not to say that they're remorseful, because again, we've had the word crocodile tears to say, oh, you're not showing no remorse. Whereas when crocs cry or show tears, it's not so much remorseful, but no one knows why they do this. And scientists don't really know why they do this, you know? But it is proven. Vocals again. No, it's all good. It's all good, bro. It's all good. You know. It's all good. How do hyenas laugh? It's all vocals. When you think about how humans make vocals when they're laughing, when they're angry, or whatever, we all have a vocal. I also have it in my, if you go on my YouTube channel, you will see I have it on now as well. Also, I'm just being curious. I know, I love curiosity. Curiosity is the best. Because you learn, when you are curious about something that you're passionate about, you develop a habit of wanting more. Because you're feeding into what you love. And I love that. So there's nothing wrong with being curious, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to learn more about nature and how nature works. It's a good thing to get into. And not only that, it's a way of all of us developing something new. So there are some things in this world that when I look at an animal, or when I'm looking at a new animal fact, I'm super curious and want to learn, bro. Thank you, you're cool. Always happy to help you. And this is the thing, animals, there's always something new to learn. Yeah? And it's like, it's like anything in this world. If we don't have the passion, how are we ever gonna learn? And learning is great. It's a great skill to have. Not many people can have the ability to want to be, you know, passionate, excited, mind blown by it. You know what I mean? It's like when you take this, for example, all lemurs in the world. How do ants mate? I honestly, well, yes, ants do mate. They do. And I love the fact that you jumped straight into that. I wasn't trying to go into that route, but personally, all in all, animals, they have their own involvement in how they mate. I'm not sure how ants would mate. I guess it would be a semi-bit different. Does the octopus have multiple hearts? Octopuses do have 3 hearts. So octopuses do actually have 3 hearts. So that is your answer already answered. They have 3 hearts. All lemurs are found in Madagascar. Do you think they have 3? I don't know. The answer to that. I don't know. I would have to find it out. I don't know about the cow's heart, not heart. I don't know on that one. Damn, I need 3 hearts. LOL. we would all love to have 3 hearts. Even I would, but we ain't got no 3 hearts. But yeah, on the stomach side of it, I don't know how many stomachs a cow would generally have. I think it's 2 or 3. Don't quote me. I think it is, but I don't actually know. And again, it's okay not to know, because when you think about things, sometimes we all need to, do research on stuff before we can say, yeah, okay, we get it. You know what I mean? Oh, But all in all, that's why it's a learning curve, because I'm not gonna know every single thing in the world, because when we learn about nature, there's so much to learn, and sometimes you can't remember everything all in one sitting. It's a very much, there's so much you can learn, then there's so much you have to basically take responsibility to learn. Because if you don't learn and you don't go through the right channels in life, you're gonna struggle with everything. It's like how people think that pangolins are, you know, a reptile. No, they're a scaly mammal that are heavily trafficked in Africa and other parts of the world. Pangolins are a scaly mammal, and the reason why pangolins are so heavily poached is because of the fact that, you know, the Chinese love to eat them. It's something that the Chinese love to eat. It's a delicacy. Also, they grind the keratin off the scales, so they'll rip the scales off and grind it into medicine, which is disgusting. Again, that is a good question with the parrot one and with vocals. Well, as much as the way to think about it like this, parrots and birds that know how to mimic, if they know how to mimic words or, you know, say a certain phrase, they're not going to understand it because they only are repeating what you have taught it. So whatever you teach it, it's going to just repeat it or, you know, make that vocal, but they're not going to have the functionality to understand the word phrase that you're using to make the parrot say what it's saying. You know? But it's also vocals. But it is also again vocals. It is all to do with vocalization from the vocals, what they hear, sound, and understanding how to mimic it. But they will never understand the equivalent to how to vocalize, you know, how to you know, like how some parrots, they say, oh, who's a pretty birdie? Yeah, when you hear a parrot say that to another parrot, they don't understand that word, they only know how to vocal. But say, to actually teach them how to understand it is a no-no. They're not going to understand it. They're going to sit there and be like, I don't get it, you know? And it's okay. It is okay. I love the curiosity, I do. And this is what we thrive for. That is a powerful thing. Powerful thing. I love that question. Oh, we love that question through and through. I'm very impressed. I am so impressed with your questions. I am. I'm really impressed. Oh my leg. Now, when you think about like I'll give you like with elephants, it's not as complex as if you were to think about like you know, crows. So when you think about crows, like crows and ravens, if you were to throw something at a crow, they're going to remember your face. Just like how hornets remember your face. If you annoy a hornet, they're gonna remember you for the day it dies, and then teach its young how to do the same thing. The same with, you know, crows. If you annoy a crow, then a crow's gonna remember what you've done. Elephants, you know, are the same. Whatever you do to the elephant or whatever, you know, happens in the elephant's life, it's gonna remember. It's got a very good functionality brain. It's just how it goes. I love I love it though. Again, animals have their own functionality of how to scare. Like for example, right? Poison dart frogs. We know that poison dart frogs are genuinely, you know, uh, toxic and poisonous. But the thing is, the thing that makes a poisoned dart frog so poisonous is not because of their skin, it's what they eat in the wild. So when a poisoned dart frog eats poisonous insects or poisonous ants, that is how they become toxic. If you were to have a poisoned dart frog in captivity, then really, ideally, that animal, that species of frog that is poisonous is going to be unpoisonous. Because in a zoo, we would feed them fruit flies. Yeah? And fruit flies are not toxic, they're not poisonous, they're not anything, they're just there for the sake of being there. I've never heard of a fish laughing. Although I wouldn't put it past a fish for trying it, but I've not heard nothing saying otherwise, you know? But that's not to say that maybe one day we might find a fish that possibly could laugh, Who knows? Nature, as I say, nature is a very mysterious world. It's such a beautiful world, yeah? You have a very complex, visual of animals that see and do things so vastly different to humans, and I love that. So what we see from animals we may see as weird, but to them it's what they're doing naturally. And it comes down to animal behavior. It comes down to animal behavior, what we know, what we learn, observing, and having a really good understanding of what what nature is and why they do the things they do. You know, like, believe it or not, a hornet's favorite food is actually bees. Yeah, nasty, but it is what it is. But bees can defend themselves from hornets and wasps. So if a hornet or a wasp were to enter that hive, all of the bees will go on top of them, and then they'll start, wiggling their bum, and then it will cook that hornet alive, and then kick them out. Good question, and again, that will be answered in a video. We will do a few videos of dangerous animals and the why questions. I love that. And you will find that out as well. There's so many I wanna do. How are chickens related to dinosaurs? If you go back in prehistoric time, you'll understand, because there are some, features on a chicken that relate so heavily to dinosaur period. And chickens, are actually really are related to dinosaurs more than we think. They are so heavily related, and it is actually really kind of cool when you look at the species of, you know, dinosaur that was so related with the chicken. It is so cool. I think you would love it. But they are very much, yeah, chickens are very much related to dinosaurs. Many things that were around the dinosaur era and that sort of time frame, you will understand what connects with what. Birds are beautiful in their own right, because I gave you an idea. You really have. Well, actually, you both done really well with asking some very good questions, and I love that. So you guys have done some amazing things. I definitely will be making a video on them, but it won't be straight off the bat, because at the moment I'm doing a series of colorful animals and going in depth with them and talking and showing people the beautiful colorations of animals. But I definitely will be keeping that in mind, though, because I love the idea of what you guys have brought and what you guys have asked. Very, very, very cleverly asked. I like that. So both of you should be proud of yourselves for, ideally asking very bold and very interesting questions that have really interesting, history that can be answered and solved. I love that. So I'm impressed that you guys are very curious and very much, wanting to engage and really taking the time to be like, oh, why does this do? I love that. So never be afraid to ask. It doesn't make you look silly or whatever. No, it's part of learning. If we don't ask, how do we know? Simple. That's how it goes. Anytime, and I'm not here on YouTube to be famous. I'm not trying to be famous. I'm not trying to make money on YouTube. I just do this for passion. When are you gonna end this live? In a minute, cause I gotta post a video on on something special with, like I say, with the whole theme of nature that is colorful and vibrant. It'd be cool. Yeah, you are definitely cool. I appreciate it. I'm just a nerd for animals. I love giving animal facts. I just do this for fun. That's it. I just do this for fun. If I make money off it, I make money off it. If I don't, I don't. I don't care. I don't care if I'm famous or not. I just love what I do. That's the thing. You gotta have the passion, the ambition to just enjoy what you love doing. Otherwise, there's nothing in this world to enjoy if you're not enjoying it. You know what I mean? So yeah. But no, right, I'm gonna hop off because I do want to post this video. So thank you so much for coming in and chilling with us. All of you have a good day, and I'll catch you all in the next.